Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome. I think what we're going to do today is we're going to do a nice Southern classic. And that's going to be biscuits and sausage gravy. This is what you're going to need. Okay, so you're going to need 2 cups of flour. You're going to need a teaspoon of salt, a tablespoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and we're going to need a cup of buttermilk. And if you don't have buttermilk, you just add 1 tablespoon of vinegar to 1 cup of milk. You're also going to need 1 stick of cold butter. So get the cold butter and the milk straight from the fridge. We'll make the buttermilk. We'll make the buttermilk and it can sit while we cut up the butter. So that's 1 cup of milk to 1 tablespoon of white vinegar. Give that a stir and set that aside. One stick of butter. We're going to cut this up into small pieces because we're going to mix this with the flour. So we're going to cut this in half. And then we're going to cut it in half again. And we're just going to cut it into little cubes. Now the whole idea behind a good biscuit dough is not to handle it too much after you get it wet. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take that sugar, baking soda, baking powder, and a teaspoon of salt. Give that a mix. Now you want to cut in the butter, and when you put the butter in, you're going to want it to look like almost like breadcrumbs. So we scatter these pieces about. And this is the best way to do it. You can use a fork, a knife, but basically you want to take each of those small pieces of butter and you want to just squeeze them and incorporate the dry mixture with the butter. Now you can do this in a food processor, and I usually do it in a food processor, but I just didn't feel like cleaning it, so I chose to do it by hand. but when you do it in the food processor, you just want to pulse it a couple times until it's incorporated. You don't want to work it too much. Okay, you'll see how it looks more granular, almost like breadcrumbs. Now we're going to take that buttermilk, and we're gonna add the buttermilk. And we're going to work this until it just comes together. It should be a wet mixture. And once it comes together, then we're going to pour it out onto the counter. I must have measured wrong because this is way too wet. Okay, I'm adding a little bit of flour. Okay, so with patting this, we do not want to use a rolling pin. So we're just patting this down until it's about a ½ inch thick. We're going to put them on a baking sheet. Now I've got Biscuit Cutter here. I'll leave the link to these. You decide on the size of your biscuit. I think this one looks like a good size. And you might have to dip it in some flour, cut your biscuit, and put them on your baking sheet. Your oven should be preheating at 450. Remember, the more that you handle the dough, the tougher the biscuits are going to be. And you saw that I had to add flour to it. You do that without kneading it a lot. Now, you might be able to get away with doing these couple with the scrap, but again, don't knead it, just get it together. Now you want them all the same size, otherwise they're gonna cook differently. So with this size, I was able to get 10, and those are nice sized biscuits. I got big hands, and look at the size of them. So when the oven comes up to temperature, we'll put them in for 10 to 12 minutes until they're golden brown. Don't like to waste anything. Now we're going to move on to the sausage gravy. Okay, so for the sausage gravy, you're going to need 1 pound of sausage. I'm using pork sausage. 3 tablespoons of butter. A 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour. And 3 cups of milk. So I've got a cast iron skillet here. You can do it in whatever you want. Putting the sausage in. You want to break it up. So you want to cook this down before you put the flour in. So let me get this down and then I'll be back. Okay, so I turned the heat down a little bit, and I'm going to add that 1/3 cup of flour. And we're going to mix this up, and we're going to make sure that flour cooks down a little bit before we add the milk. Sorry about the noise. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to slowly add the milk. We're going to start off with a couple cups. Now, depending on how thick you like your gravy or how thin you like your gravy, I like mine medium thick. Remember, your heat's on low at this point. And we're just going to add all that. Taste it for seasoning. Pepper. I like a real peppery gravy. Whoops. There's a half a teaspoon. Yes, that's it. That's good. Right now, the biscuits are in the oven, and they will be out in 20 seconds. So I'm going to take this off the heat. Okay, the biscuits just came out, and they look great. You can see the nice color. I'm going to use a fork. I was afraid that they were going to be hard because I handled it more than I wanted to, but they seem fine. All right, I'm just going to let that melt a little bit. There you go. There we have our sausage gravy, and we have our biscuits. Time to wake the kids and have some breakfast. Hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you stop back again soon. Bye.